Welcome to the First Circuit podcast, number 61. Here we have Biter, Ian, Larsh, and Oldbob 10025.
Hey.
I am Battletech TW as a potato host.
Potato holes, potato holes,
potato holes. I didn't hear the ST at the end.
Was I supposed to say hi? In that case, hi everyone.
We're off to a good start as always.
Yeah.
As always. Okay, real quick, the topics of today is events and sales. There's a Battletech update and NASCAR and playstyles in MW.
Huh? This is awkward pause. Awkward pause is awkward, but okay.
Even better start.
Okay.
A good start here.
Best start yet.
Actually, this is one of the better starts. Yeah, this is one of them.
If you say so.
Okay.
All right, so let's get on to events and sales. So first off, at least there's a couple of sales that they did. The Solaris 7 Heroes were put up on Steam. If you hadn't picked that up yet, they're available, I guess. Though, if you really want a particular Solaris 7 hero, you can always just buy it for MC in-game in the store, I think, now. And you just wait until it's on sale. So I don't really care that much for it. Next is there's another dropship deal, Heavy Lifting. Which is just a whole bunch of heavy mechs, but this time, if you buy a pack, you get a hanging item that gives you 5% extra C-bills. This normally is only available, somewhat available if you get ultimate packs for the big, when they're launching 2 packs together kind of thing. So it's one of the easier times to get that hanging item. However, these hanging items, it's you can only buy a bundle of IS heavy mechs or a bundle of clan heavy mechs, and that hanging item only works for IS or clan, respectively.
Which that sale is no longer valid.
Yes, I was just checking that just now. It's already over.
I'm surprised that they haven't started another bundle yet already. Oh.
Yeah, I know.
They normally always have a dropship deal going on.
Now, since we didn't do last podcast last week, there's a lot of stuff that's off sale. So just let you guys know.
Yeah.
This podcast is actually going back in time.
Yes.
We're just catching up with all the bits and pieces.
So we're actually very light on topics. So there's not really a whole lot of Mechwarrior topics. So it was the Steam Halloween sale, that went on
the drop bags, the loot bags. Did you guys do a lot of those? Did you guys complete that?
Yeah,
I
actually
completed it. I hate myself.
I almost completed it. I didn't bother it all the way through phase 2, but I did earn, enough loot bags, like some 200, 300 or so.
Yeah, I did a bunch of loot bags, but then I kind of got to a certain point where it's like, okay, I'm done. I just can't do this anymore. I mean, that's a lot of loot bags, man.
I got a whole lot of 20.
You got 20 loot bags?
I know my numbers are impressive as usual.
The loot bag event was quite nice, though, at least since I got a lot of MC from it. There was only a much more limited selection, and the MC they were giving wasn't just 5s, it was sometimes like 45s and 50s and such.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
That was why I was incentivized to actually get, like some 280 loot bags or whatever. By just playing a lot, I got up to like 8k MC, and all of that is earned free to play over, quite some time. But this event gave me quite a lot, and I haven't bothered tallying up exactly how much the event gave me, but it gave me a few thousand MC.
Yeah, and I did enjoy the free camo pattern. If you guys were able to get that,
that's the only one I did actually. Yeah.
Well, the camo pattern I think comes after the free mech.
Yes,
that's fairly gated.
So if you got the free camo pattern, which mech did you choose on it?
Then I'm talking about the last one that we did. It was a Jade Fox. No, that's no Ghost Bear pattern a long time ago. Then never mind. I'm back in time.
Yeah, because they gave away the Buccaneer pattern.
Yeah, a Buccaneer.
Yep, Buccaneer pattern.
I wound up putting it on my Hellfires, and it looks pretty.
Neat. I put it on the awesome because I hadn't any paint schemes for it, and I dressed one of my awesomes up as a jester.
Oh, there we go.
Nice.
Hey.
It's the awesome that Ian likes with the LRMs.
Oh,
Yay!
Oh,
I'm
great.
just gonna shut myself down with you.
A lot of hate there.
Kinda.
Yeah.
Seems awesome because that's a learn.
The funny thing is, though, at least there's this huge loot bag event that went on for a couple of weeks, and it requires you to play at least 100 games, and I got really gamed out playing the game for that much, like every day as well.
Yeah.
And then they immediately afterwards start the next event, faction fights, 15 days, which again is every other day. There's another event where you have to go to faction play, and keep switching factions to do these daily little challenges.
Yeah.
And here's the best part about it: compared to the last daily events we had, there's no overlap this time, so you actually have to play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
in the correct time
My
frame.
first reaction whenever I saw this event was I was like, no.
Mhm.
I can't. Like, I just played a whole bunch. I
Yeah.
just can't.
Yeah, actually, like for me too, this is going to be old Bob rant. So one of the things that kind of pisses me off is they're trying to actually make it so faction warfare is actually prominent. And so they're actually, making, you want to play faction play. But if I could just change my factions every 2 days to, I'm going to be Clan Wolf. And then as soon as I get that done, I'll be Clan Jade Falcon, get that done. And then keep on doing these things. It puts no ambiance into actually being a house unit or a, I am Clan Jade Falcon. So it doesn't give you a personal development into that clan or be part of that clan or part of the different types of house units. And so if they're going to be doing this, it makes no sense to be what's the one that you have mercenary, you have the other one, like kind of like a normal house unit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it right? Yeah. So it puts no personal perception of who you are. You're just like, okay, well, I'm going to go change this out here. And so you have a game system no one really cares about like anymore. And once they actually made it into 2 different tiers of clan versus intersphere, instead of actually like I'm from FFR or I'm from House Steiner, it really screwed the whole system up. And I understand it because of player base, but doing this kind of thing, it's crappy. It's just really crappy. You can't be doing this and then expect people to want to go play faction warfare into if they could just switch their different factions, just being mercenary, because everyone's mercenary now. Every unit is mercenary. No one's literally a house unit because there's no bonuses, there's nothing for it. And I think in November they're gonna be revamping a bunch of things, and like December, but they got to do it quick, dude, because this is making a lot of people just not really care about it.
Yeah, because wasn't the idea of faction warfare of like, if you are big into the lore, you choose your loyalty because you feel like that you're now invested in that faction would be an IS or clan. But and back then I thought the idea of faction warfare, I'm talking on a non-lore, like kind of side, because I don't know a lot of the lore. I just play the game to have fun. But I thought it'd be like, oh, I can go in, I can look at the history, choose one that I like, and then this map was supposed to be like a like ever evolving, borders would be fluctuating back and forth, and it would always be changing. But now with the event, it's like, okay, go ahead and choose these 2. Well, then everyone flocks to those 2, and then the map doesn't change; it just changes between 2 sides. Next day, choose these 2. Then the map only changes between those 2 sides. It kind of takes away from that overall. The map is just it's always shifting, and it makes it feel like there's no difference to the side that you choose because you're being told which ones to go to for a day or 2 days or whatever.
Yeah, they initially wanted, of course, faction warfare to live up to its name of actually have different factions playing off against one another. But right now, that name is almost doing a disservice. They should almost rename it to Quick Play with a map.
Objective quick play, which is just quick play.
Oh God, that's awesome! Quick play with a map.
On the whole,
wait. There's objectives.
Yeah.
Technically, there are.
Like I know they're planning to modify this and kind of like make it so it's actually worth it. But I mean, over the period of time, you don't destroy your past in order to actually do something better, like in the future. You want to build upon your past and then build something better. And so with this, it's like, I mean, literally, like I still got to make that video. Biter keeps hounding me about just changing factions like crazy, doing that kind of thing. That's why I had my alt done. But just to change them like crazy, it's like, look, there's no purpose for being a house unit whatsoever. There's none. There's no personalization. There's no nothing. And like, even like when they have, like when you pick your factions, has a little like spinny bar thing, right? Has a little spinny bar thing that goes around. It's like, it doesn't matter. None of that matters. The only thing that matters is if you have clan or innister mechs, or even if you have both, so you can do everything. And so everyone's flipping crazy and don't have any personalization or God, I can't figure out that word. Damn, I can't figure out that word for it. What's that word?
We got you, Bob.
Word.
Yeah, word. It's that word.
The bird.
The bird is the word, yes. But like, you don't have any ownership of a clan or something like that, which kills the whole persona of the game. I might as well call it Call of Duty with mechs.
Well, to look slightly on the bright side on this, at least PGI is aware of the fact that their faction play is currently not really faction play. So this event kind of emphasizes on that fact.
Yeah.
And it does give players who need money or need MC or who really want those cockpit items, it does give them a nice number of stuff for not too much effort. From first glance, I'd say it's like 5-6 games a day maybe to get the 100 MC, a couple million C-builds.
I just wish we could have been given a slight reprieve from the grind of the Halloween event we just had.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's asking you to come back every other day or so, which is quite unusual.
Yeah,
If it was a week-long event, I would feel a lot better about planning my time out.
Yeah, but at least for those people who really need this stuff and who have the time to play, for those people it's nice, and for the rest of us, I mean, we've stopped caring about events a long time ago, haven't we?
Well, for me, it's just I got off a big event that was giving me MC hand over fist, and then this one, it's like each one is giving me some C-bills and MC. I'm like, but before I just played one match and got like 80 MC. Now I play 6 matches and I get 50. Why am I bothering?
You're getting for the cockpit items, right?
Yeah, the cockpit
items are on
nice.
sale as well.
Yeah.
Which also brings us to the other point. If you go to the store, currently, you can actually get cockpit items for each faction. They're on sale right now. Of course, as of recording, it's going to be, was it House Steiner? And what else we got here?
Karita.
No, it's not Karita.
Steiner versus Free Republic.
Okay, sorry.
There we go.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. So during the event, if you that is one thing. So if you are like Bob, if you are very much a House Karita, go ahead on that.
Only.
Yeah. So if you're a huge, fan of one of the IS members, just check for the event of when it's happening, and those items will most likely be on sale. So.
Yeah. Some things at least to mention about this event, it's always IS versus IS or clan versus clan. I've heard anything, at least people mentioning switching sides and feeling like you're, building reputation with a side or feeling that one side's really your own. For me with this event, like I played some of, Clan Jade Falcon on the first day. I did all of the things and then immediately switched over to Clan Wolf and I did all my progress because I needed to do all the stuff on the other side as well.
Mm-hmm.
Then also too, the tournament supporter pack does give you extra C-bills per challenge, and then I think at the November patch you get a cloud cockpit item, so you keep your drives in the cloud.
I like the text here. They say this item is modeled after an authentic MechCon 2018 Vancouver raid clouds.
Oh God.
To be real, that looks like a pile of salt.
Yep.
Oh God, there's a lot of that online already.
I just like the sass in the description, but yeah, whatever. It's a thing.
Yeah.
But speaking of the tournament supporter pack, I've just seen that you get 750k C-bills per challenge.
Yeah, per challenge. Yeah.
That is actually a lot of C-bills.
That's a lot of C-bills.
And speaking of SAS, at least, I'm not sure there's really been a roadmap for this upcoming November patch. We obviously knew the Vapor Eagle is coming up, but this is sort of, other than the Vapor Eagle, the best we've got for a roadmap thus far. The Cloud's coming out, guys. The Cloud.
The glow cloud.
Exactly.
Oh, the loyalty mechs come out at the same time of the Vapor.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's another big thing. Yeah,
That's
I'll
gonna be
be looking
huge.
forward to that.
that's gonna be
Yeah.
huge.
I want that
Yay.
Pokemon with these.
Everyone can have jumping linebackers. Woohoo!
Nice. Oh,
Well, that
also,
linebacker's already out for
Yeah,
Seagulls.
linebacker's already out.
Oh, is it? Oh,
It was a
That was
jumping.
last year, Ian.
Yeah. See, we're all back in time, man.
back in time.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going back. But also, real quick, one thing you might actually enjoy: the planet we are battling over currently has detailed information.
Oh my God. No way.
And who's to thank for that?
I don't know. No,
Bob,
basically,
this year is not your doing, right?
no. This year's not my doing. I'll have 32 planets with stuff according to what Paul told me. 32 planets, which will be all the major planets, and then a lot. If I can get into the part right here, hold on a second. Hold on. Damn it. I will have all the major
I'm
planets
holding onto
done.
my
I will
tail.
have the secondary planets done, and then a lot of like Terra, and then a lot around Terra, like New Earth, Rigel, and a couple of those guys. It's 2,781 planets, so it's a lot of planets, and each one takes about 15 minutes to go and do. There's so much freaking lore in each one that you have to really, and you have 255 characters to go and do it for. So it's kind of like I got to sit there and write the planets. It sucks. But it's a lot of fun too, because I love the lore and I love the planetary stuff. So all the major planets like Robinson and Benjamin and Dairon, Terra, Lao, Merrick, all those will be done. So just so you guys know.
There'll
Cool.
finally be information for capital planets.
And 2Kid, there'll be one for 2Kid as well, which always irked me every single time we fought major battles on it. Every single time.
Major battle for Tuki, and there's like, what's this
There's
for?
nothing on it.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Oh look, it's the second battle for Tukid. Does anyone still have an idea what this planet is? Nope. Let's go get them.
Nope,
Exactly.
let's go blow it up.
Yeah. So
yeah,
yeah,
The
they'll be
current
coming out.
planet has info.
And which
so,
current planet is that?
Fatima.
Oh wow. Hold on. Yeah. Yep. There you go. Cool. Awesome. That's not my doing though.
All right, I think though that mostly wraps up all the events and sales. I think we're all a little bit tired of the events and sales, and it seems almost like PGI is as well. They're a bit lax this and last week. It feels like.
Yeah. Well, basically, it's cool they're doing this. This is one of the only games that I've seen, except for Star Trek Online, that actually, like, really, you don't have to pay money to go and get stuff, but you can support the game. Don't get me wrong, but it's one of the better games, or better companies that say, here's MC, here's this, here's a event, go do this, and that kind of stuff. And you kind of do that. I think Kanagashi is one of those guys that's building a YouTube series based off of free to play. So it works out good for a lot of people.
Yeah, it's a really good series.
Yeah.
Oh, hey Bob, this is also completely side topic, but I'm currently in game and I'm zooming around the map.
Mhm.
Are you? Can you look at the map screen?
Yeah. I'm on it right now.
Okay, go ahead and zoom all the way out.
Yeah.
And then tilt downwards so House Kurita is the one facing towards you for the most part. The mech bay is off in the distance.
What? and how do you tilt down?
Use the left. Sorry. It's a right click and tilt downward, and you will see the mech bay in the clouds.
Hold the right mouse button down.
Wait, where?
What? Really? Hold on. I'm trying to see that. I can't see that now.
All right. Well, maybe I'll give you my footage because it's pretty amazing.
This is hilarious.
I don't see that. Oh well. Just let me see your footage.
Yeah. I'll go ahead and I'll give you a clip. It's pretty great.
Okay, I'll go put it in the podcast then. Nice. Anyways, okay.
All right. Next big piece of news is the upcoming patch or update, I should say, to Battletech 1.3.
Yes. I'm excited about this. One of the things.
Release, localization, more stuff.
Yes, it's gonna be cool. It's gonna be way cool. The one of the things basically I have it like on screen now is the career mode, which is interesting because a lot of people I know that they've done it like 7 times, like Bishop's done it like 7 times, Bishop Steiner, and I know like probably Ian's done it like twice or 3 times. But one of the things you can do is progress like how well you've done inside the game based off of how many mechs you have. If you have all the mechs, at least one like in your storage bay, you get points for that. You get points for visiting all the planets. Now you only have 1,200 days to go do this, so you really have to like go from each planet to each planet to each planet really quickly to go and do that. And then what's up? Go ahead.
Well, let's just start from the very basic level that in the game right now, you always have to start the campaign and go through each story missions, and the map slowly unfolds according to your story progress. And in fact, you can't even go into the big faction houses territory at all. You're stuck inside the periphery of the map. So you're either going around the unmarked stars or running around the Regan Correlation, and that's mostly it. You can, I think, go all the way to the west, that faction over there, but for the most part, you're incredibly limited. And the overall difficulty of the different areas is mostly determined by your progression in the campaign. So if you really want to do 5 skull missions, you can sometimes sort of travel that way, but for the most part, any of the places accessible to you are usually around your level. Career mode, however, is starting like completely fresh slate. It's like starting a whole new campaign. It's not got any story missions at all whatsoever. Yeah, you start with a selection of mechs. There isn't any story missions to go through, and it's just you going around the map, allying and allying with different factions and all this, that, and the other. And areas will not be the difficulty of areas won't be linked to your to your progress on the story. It will just be according to how developed that place is. So early on, you can just hightail it to a really hard, difficult mission offering some part of the map, but you really shouldn't.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing: you really should do it if you've got the balls, because career mode is going to be on IanDresarie by default.
Yeah. Plus, also you only have 1,200 days, so you really have to watch where you're going and how you're doing things. You can't just sit.
Well, so the 1,200 days thing is they're keeping score, basically. Like, it's a scored mode, and you have a certain period of time to do stuff, complete contracts, acquire mechs, etc., before you can actually, and when you get that 1,200 day mark, it will say, okay, we're recording your score now, and who knows, maybe there'll be like a leaderboard. After that, you can continue playing, so you don't just stop in time, but you will not be able to accrue any more score.
Yeah. Plus also too, they randomly put you across the map in 6 different locations. I'm not sure exactly how developed those locations are as far as skull missions or anything else, but I don't know if you could pick them. Like, did you watch that and see if you could pick them or not? And go pick the different missions or the areas.
I'm not sure what you're trying to say. As far as I'm aware, there are at least obviously what kind of contracts you can take depends on your reputation with different factions.
Yeah.
And there's some variability, I think, on where you can choose your starting location.
Oh, okay.
So,
okay.
If you want to ally with a certain faction, you don't have to spend a large amount of time running over to their location, so you can start doing that kind of missions.
Yeah. Then also too, it's like the rep system got actually redone. So you can actually have the pirate faction, which is interesting because, like early on in the game, you could only actually, you can't become a pirate. And with this one, you actually can become a pirate based off your reputation system for that. Also too, with the rep system, what they did is that, so let's say you ally with Karita. Now everyone hates Karita, so basically you can only gain, oh God, how do they explain this?
So before, the game used to have a very simple system of, we keep tabs of your reputation with each faction. If you do something nice for them, your numbers go up. If you do something against them, your numbers go down a little. And that was it. There was no real interplay. I'm not sure if this will go into the actual campaign, but as far as I'm aware, this new reputation system will be taking place in career mode. If you max out your your gaining and losing your reputation with different factions is going to be much larger than before. Before, it took forever to really build up that bar to max. Now it will, at least with career mode, presumably be a lot faster. And when you max out that bar, you could choose to ally with a certain faction. You allying with that faction will mean you will always you can never reach a negative level of reputation with them, and that comes, I think there's presumably, I don't know all the details of the system, but presumably there's some benefits to actually bothering to ally with these factions. But allying with factions means other factions don't like you as a consequence, or you can never really become the best of friends with other factions. So you have to be careful who you are, seeking to woo, so to speak, in this campaign. And yes, there will be a pirate faction. Everybody hates the pirates, but you could become best friends with the pirates, and becoming best friends with the pirates might have its own benefits. Like there will be the black markets available in some sectors. So presumably, if you're friends with the pirates, you can find more stuff that fell off the back of a transport. Yeah, exactly.
And if you ally with one of the major factions, you get access to faction-specific stores, which may or may not be interesting depending on how it's executed in the game.
Well, hopefully it's like lore based.
You're allied with Karita, so you could just buy dragons for days, just endless dragons.
Yeah, that's definitely what I would be expecting. Or if you're allied with Horse Devian, obviously you're gonna get all of the autocannons
and the enforcers.
And the enforcers.
Yeah.
And this also plays nicely with the thing that I'm somewhat excited about. New inventory items, including rare lost tech from before the fall of the Star League.
Now that's interesting.
That would be cool.
Toys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to this. In fact, I'm looking forward to it more than Flashpoint in some ways, because this is a whole, it's a sandbox experience. And the thing with the current campaign you've got is you are very much railroaded by the storyline.
Yeah.
That for the most part, if you want harder missions, do a story mission. And the story also gives you freebies like the Highlander and eventually another Atlas, I think, that have lots of really advanced tech, and you don't actually, it doesn't feel like I've really earned my best mix in the game. With career mode, however, I think you're not getting those handouts. You can go anywhere you like. You can ally with certain with a whole bunch of different factions. I just really looking forward to this sandbox experience a lot more than doing the same linear experience again.
Yeah.
I think it's
basically what HBS did with this update is they incorporated a bunch of things you had to do by mod until now, and you can now do with the vanilla game. So all you have to do is add a map of the whole inner sphere, and there are no boundaries left.
Yeah. Basically, I do think it's point of it's part of Flashpoint though. Since on the 27th for the 1.3 update, and then also Flashpoint itself. But I mean, I'm excited about this. One of the things that happened last night was I finally finished the game, got the Atlas with the it's like woohoo. But the problem is, looking at the medium pulse lasers, I'm sitting there going, well, wait a second, my plus medium laser does less heat and more and the same damage, but just has a shorter range. So it's like, and plus 1 ton less. So I'm like, wait a second. I hope they actually incorporate some type of hey, this gives +2 accuracy just for the medium pulse laser because it uses pulses. That. Yeah, but I couldn't find that anywhere though.
It doesn't list it, just like it doesn't list +1 for all lasers.
Yeah.
But I wish the Lost Tech was a bit more quirked up to actually be worth all its tonnage, or it for being special. Like you could get an ER PPC, and it wasn't as ridiculously hot as it was on launch, but for the most part, your usual engagement ranges, a regular PPC is fine.
Yeah.
Though there is the hilarity of using an ER PPC across the entire map.
Or like the ER large lasers, same thing. It's like, well, wait a second, my plus large lasers do less heat and the same amount of damage, or even more damage, but just doesn't have the range on it. But I believe, like you said, most engagements are within your large laser range, or even a medium pulse range too, like 400 to 500 meters.
Yeah, the extended range lasers the extra range is kind of balanced out by the fact that regular lasers often, if you get +++, have extra accuracy, so they're just as good at those longer ranges anyway, and even more accurate up close.
But like my main gripe is like I wish I actually incorporated, like it just says it has better accuracy. Well, like what is better accuracy? Is it +15 or +2? Like what is what are the stats for it compared to actually medium lasers? Like like what's the stats for those? And that was my main gripe about the whole thing last night. When I got the 2 extra pulse lasers.
When you're getting Lost Tech, thankfully, at least you should have a lot of mech tech points.
Yeah.
So switching out a medium laser for a medium pulsar and whatnot doesn't take too long at all. So you could always just try it out.
I just want to know the stats. That's all I want to know, basically.
Let's stay on topic with the 1.3 update, because there's other than career mode, there's a few other big changes coming along.
Yeah.
Big one, the biggest next would be the revamping Mechwarrior skills and abilities.
That one is going to be really interesting. I definitely feel the description. They asked people and they said you had to take Bulwark.
Yeah.
I feel that to some extent, at the very least, because Bulwark fits my playstyle so well. I get a feeling that after this update, my playstyle is going to change a lot.
Well, that's what she was saying. Like whoever was talking, like in the video, I forgot her name, but she was saying that like everyone had to take this in order to actually be part of it. You get 50% like damage reduction, which is the best thing ever. And so she really didn't want to have that, as far as like everyone takes it, and so everyone just makes their firing line and just fires like crazy. Want it to be more static as far as getting cover, moving around, doing that kind of thing. And if you go in the middle of a field, you better watch out, because there's it doesn't really work as well like as anything else.
Yeah.
So okay.
And another thing, real quick, the vigilance ability thingy that you can get for morale is going to be a lot more valuable, because that gives you guarded.
Yep. All right. So yeah, to set the scene there, at least, they did correctly identify that Bulwark was so powerful it was almost a must-have.
Yeah.
In this game, and it really, at least the whole point of the skill system is you have different types of mech warriors, but at least for me, all my mech warriors all had Bulwark as a minimum requirement. If somebody already had 3 skills and they couldn't take Bulwark, they're fired, because they must have Bulwark.
Get out of here.
Yes.
I can cook very well, but I don't have Bulwark. Get her out. Get out. You're done.
Yeah, and Bulwark as well made cover completely obsolete. Why have this possibility of 25% if you get knocked over or something, when you could just stand still all the time and have 50% damage reduction all the time anyway? There was no point in cover. In fact, cover slowed you down, because if you're in it or walking into it or whatnot, you got less evasion pit, and it was harder for you to move around the map. So they are changing how Bulwark is implemented, and hopefully also how Brace is implemented. So if a mech is in cover now, it will get 20% damage reduction. If you have Bulwark, it will be 40%. Just by standing in cover, you're twice as good at hiding behind trees as someone who doesn't know Bulwark.
Okay.
If you brace, if a mech warrior braces in the open, they will get 20% damage reduction, which in my opinion is very weak for an action you're committing your entire turn to.
Yeah.
But if you have Bulwark, cowering in the middle of the open field will be twice as effective as well. It will be 40%. If you are a Bulwark, and if you know Bulwark and you're cowering inside of forest, you get 60% damage reduction.
Now, do you know if you have to
get guarded?
Sorry, I was gonna ask, like, do you know if it actually, like, you have to take your turn with Bulwark and standing still in a forest, or does it just work automatically like a passive skill?
So you don't automatically get guarded. You only acquire guarded if you click the brace button or you use vigilance.
What I'm talking about, like, is like Bulwark as a passive skill though. Like, do you have to stop one turn to you go and have it work?
It's completely passive. There's no like, all it does is make cover twice as good. It makes bracing twice as good, and naturally those benefits stack. So, a regular mech warrior bracing inside of a forest will get 40% damage reduction. whereas a Bulwark character will get 60% damage reduction. So whilst Bulwark doesn't just allow you to stand still and shoot and do, have crazy damage reduction and keep firing, it still doubles the effectiveness of damage reduction. And it is still one of the few defensive options available in the game. So whilst it does have to change how you plan out your actions, and on average defense is a lot weaker, it still seems like a must pick to me, honestly. Like a Mechwarrior who doesn't know Bulwark is half as good at hiding behind trees. Well, if cover is so good now, cover is, I'm glad cover is actually worth a damn. But, if you're going to use cover, you might as well have Bulwark because that doubles the effectiveness of the trees.
Very true. Very true. I'm a guy. I do think it's better though, for a simple fact is, you could just sit in the middle of the field and have 50% damage reduction like last time, like before this change. And so now you really have to, play the game instead of just like, I create this fire line right here. Everything just dies in front of me. Basically with this now, you actually got to go, okay, well, where's trees? Some places like moons don't have trees. So basically, that's completely gonna, screw you over. So like now you actually have to play the game and do it like on the tabletop. Because I know like when I played tabletop a long time ago, I was just like, cover was my best friend, dude. I love cover. And so I would jump in trees. I'll go over here, hide behind mountains, like do whatever basically as much as possible. And now with, and with this, it's a good positive start for Bulwark. Because like you said, if you don't have Bulwark, you're out of my group, dude. Get out of here. You can kick you out of the airlock. And so now it's even, now it just creates a better atmosphere for the game itself to actually play the game instead of just like, here's my stats. This is it. This is my group, and I'm going to stand in the middle of the field and mow you down, type thing.
Yep, Bulwark made it so that the happiest time you had was you just find an open flat plain, because then the enemy don't get cover. The enemy, usually don't have all the bulwarks, so you just stand there, all four mechs standing in the middle, like, come on us, bro, and the enemy just have to waddle towards you and, take full damage as always.
Exactly.
Yeah. So speaking of the firing thing you guys mentioned, once 1.3 drops, all your skill points in ongoing campaigns are going to be refunded, which means you can respec them.
That's okay. That's good to know.
That's an important thing too.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah. So I agree very much. So Bulwark was so crazy powerful, you had to take it, and it made the game, like all the terrain features mostly were ignorable. Like the only thing you would want to do is walk into the river and then stand in the river because it gives you cooling.
Yeah.
Whereas now, yes, you got the extra cooling, but you're not getting those powerful tree damage reductions. So yeah, cover is actually going to play a lot more of a role with or without Bulwark, and the guarded state have to either spend your whole turn acquiring or use vigilance, which requires a limited resource, which is your result. So all in all, it's toning back Bulwark and making the interplay of the map a lot bigger. But my fundamental concern, at least, is it's still the only main defensive option you have to boost your Mechwarrior's abilities. Still, with this more interplay at heart, I might have to do things differently. If the mission is really, really difficult, I might need to do stuff like have one pilot jump jetting around in the trees, spamming guarded whilst he holds locks, basically, for a team hiding behind a hill, spamming LRMs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because you're not getting all your mechs equipped with guarded. Because the big thing is, at least the AI always shoots at the guy, or usually shoots at the guy who doesn't have damage reductions, the least damage reduction, so to speak. So I may guard with one, I may have one guy equipped with Bulwark, and he may guard and he'll have 60% in the trees, and the AI will just go, well, I'm going to shoot at that guy. He has only 20%. He doesn't have Bulwark, he doesn't know how to hide behind trees, and he's not guarded. So why shoot at 60% reduction? So in the end, Bulwark is still a bit of a problem, but it's a lot worse.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are other changes, as you mentioned. The what was it, coolant?
Yeah, basically what it is, they changed the one where you knocked, where like in melee combat, Juggernaut, where you knocked it and knock a guy back like 10 feet or whatever. Basically, that was no one took it, and so
minus
I did.
one more. Yeah, it gave the opponents, it knocked them back one initiative phase.
Yeah.
So a heavy that normally is in initiative phase 2, if you punched him with a Juggernaut person, he would be in initiative phase 1.
Now, the only reason why I would take that in the like if Dispatch didn't come out was for the Hatchet Man, but that's about it. But the whole thing is they changed that, and now it's actually kind of like a mana potion coolant shot. And so, like when you first initially run it, it gives you 50 more heat sinks and drops you down on heat. But in the next 3 rounds, it raises you 8 heat per turn. So it's just kind of like just a quick like boom, basically I'm going to overheat and explode or whatever. And now you use this, and that's one of the skills that actually just came out, which would be cool.
It gets rid of 50 heat. It doesn't give you 50 heat sinks. That would be crazy.
Okay, sorry. It gets rid of 50 heat. Yeah, it cools you down.
50 heat sinks would be what, like 3 times that? 150 heat thrown out of the window. Yeah. So overall, you get rid of 50 heat now, and then you pay 24 heat, like 8 times 3 later on.
Yeah.
And you can do this every 4 turns. So there's 1 turn, your first turn, you get the heat reduction in 3 turns of waiting around, and then you wait a turn, and then you can do it again. So this gives your really hot mechs an extra, bit of oomph when you really need it.
Which is cool. Like, I actually like that idea. And it's one of the only things that they were talking about that actually has kind of like a cooldown for like for a skill. So it works out pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I am quite liking this. I could put my mech behind some trees, spam vigilance, and then fire a lot of lasers and PPCs at them, and just keep throwing away heat. So this could be, it's quite a powerful ability, and is more the reason to take Bulwark even now.
Yeah,
I will say it's an interesting thing. They sort of a little bit mentioned this on the stream, which was, initially we thought this would be really cool, but in the end nobody really took it, other than maybe Ian. And I would say Juggernaut, the thing that makes you, knock you back 1 initiative phase, was actually really interesting in Skirmish when you're doing PvP, where you both have 4 mechs. Knocking an enemy back 1 initiative phase could totally change how the fight plays out.
Yeah.
The problem with PvE is you're fighting 8 mechs and you're usually going last effectively in the end anyway. So there was no real point in affecting one opponent's initiative. Particularly with something so risky as melee.
There was some point to an extent if you have a priority target that you really wanted to go after your 4 heavies, stuff like that. But I agree, it's not something you do every single turn.
No.
There were times like, there certainly were opportunities like I would have times all 4 of my heavies are a gun line. The enemy heavies are coming towards us. One of them gets really close, and so one of my guys just punches him in the face and says, "You're an assault now," and then everyone could go, and then that guy could go last.
He punches him in the face, and the guy gets really confused and thinks he's an assault.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah,
God.
But it's a fundamental problem, at least I think personally, that they have to balance simultaneously for skirmish and for campaigns. Where the 2 have very different priorities, and I think in some ways, at least, I would prefer if they focused on just the campaign stuff, or diverged the 2.
But it's a positive thing that they're actually doing this, because they're finding that through playtesting with a bunch of beta testers for the patches, they're looking at different aspects and give some good advice. Like Bulwark, I think, was a positive thing. Granted, a lot of people still take it, but it's not like the must-have. Like if you don't have it, you're out the airlock. As far as the like new taking our Juggernaut and getting that the new skill for it, it's pretty cool. Basically for a coolant shot, that's actually pretty cool. I know a couple of my mechs, a couple of my pilots will actually have them for my harder builds, and so and then there's another one like sensor lock that actually got changed too.
Yeah, there's 2 more small changes. So first, sensor lock, they've added a -2 penalty to the opponent's aim, so it's like they've been hit by 2 PPCs.
Yeah,
and they're also, at least they made kind of clear that you can stack this with hitting them with PPCs.
Yeah.
And PPCs, presumably to some level, can also stack themselves. So the most ridiculous scenario, I'm not sure, you could try and take, a mech with sensor lock and then 3 others with like 6 PPCs, or however many PPCs you could shove on a mech, and then just shoot someone so much that they have a -12 or something like that to their hit modifier, so they can't hit anything.
So the Locust is actually going to be, halfway decent, way past the first game. Because usually when I get Locusts, I dump them out there like whatever, man. That's an extra 144,000 for me, and, basically. But now actually you want to have like a scout mech or something like that just to debuff them, and then also you can use your Lerms from far away too.
Well, Sensor Lock is still mostly garbage. It, however, does make it slightly less garbage. It reduces the evasion, allows you to hit enemies with long-range weaponry, so your PPCs, your LRMs, without needing a mech to get close enough to share line of sight. Because if you can see the enemy visually, they can see you. So Sensor Lock does allow that indirect kind of play style. And the thing is, though, with this debuff is, whilst you can make certain mechs slightly less accurate, a 2 penalty to aim isn't too big in the scheme of things, at least particularly late game. Early game, though, when you've got noob pilots, and particularly in PvP, your pilots can't really aim very well, so a -2 penalty is a huge deal.
Yeah.
But later on, when everyone's really skilled and they have a high level in gunnery, that effect is minimized. Still, it's oddly enough, as I said, Bulwark is one of the few defensive options. This does make Sensor Lock a slight defensive option, kinda, maybe.
Well, also they had the evasion one, which gives you an extra pip. Basically, you could use that as well too. Just get an extra pip for that. So 5.
Yeah. On invasive movement, has been renovated to be called Sure Footing.
Yes.
It still gives you the 1 extra bonus evasion, and they've actually clarified that it will be able to give you it beyond your usual limits. So normally a mech is only able to generate 4 evasion pips. Well, this one is just added on top, no matter what. So you could generate 5 evasion when running around in a light who knows Sure Footing. Sure Footing also gives you a 50% reduction to stability damage if you walk or stand still. If you run, jump, jet, that kind of thing, you don't get sure footing, or you don't get the stability reduction, but it gives a little bit extra incentive to take evasion, or sure footing in this case.
Well, like normally though, with the gyros, they have I got one gyro that negates 30%. Or negative. You take 30% less stability damage, and so I really haven't had any mechs that fell later in the game, but in the beginning of the game, it does work out pretty well if you have a sure footing. Especially just walking around shooting. Yeah,
as I sort of mentioned a little bit, was you could almost have this tanky guy, like you put someone like an Atlas, give him a small laser and max armor everywhere. You then have him walk forwards and backwards in trees, spamming guarded. He knows Bulwark. He knows sure footing. You can't knock this guy down.
Don't give people ideas.
You can't knock this guy down, and he has 60% damage reduction, and he holds lock for the lermers hiding behind a hill.
Yeah.
Still, it's buffing the defensive option. I still don't think, again, you're always trying to compete with Bulwark, which gives you actual damage reduction. Stability damage, is nice, but really, you're always trying to compete with that Bulwark slot, and possibly now, multi-targeting, breaching shot, and also cooling. The coolant. Those are all way more interesting than evasive movement, but still, if you get that Locust pilot with evasive movement, sure footing and sensor lock, he's a lot more valuable now.
Oh, definitely. So those are new skills, and I think it's a positive thing that you're doing this. This is great. If you haven't watched the stream, I'll go post I'll post a link down below too. Black market stores, criminal elements. Oh, that'd be good too.
There's one big other note.
Yeah,
which
one,
would be
one really big other note.
Which is you can, in the Argo, whenever you got a new mech, it was put into a mech bay and it was stuck there.
God, I hate that. Jesus, my ADHD rule, whatever it's called, basically, it's like I must put them in lances like this. I can't have them all over the freaking place. That's God, I hate that. Sorry, I was doing that last night, trying to organize my lances, and I couldn't. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
This patch will allow you to move those mechs around.
Thank God.
Woo! I'm gonna say this might be the biggest thing in this patch. It's kind of like the Quant for Mechwarrior Online. It's just so useful.
I know. Well, just like Mechwarrior Online, like changing out the crown, for like groups, it's like that's the best thing ever. Oh my god! And this is just make it so much easier, man. Just make it so much better. Sorry.
Yep,
Sorry.
I'm very much looking forward to that change as well, because it did bug me as well. I think it bugs a lot of people that it helps you sort it out in your head if you can arrange the mech spatially and you can make use of the space. But as it's kind of like, I don't know, like an Excel spreadsheet where you can only enter it like the person who's in charge of it. It's not you in charge of it; it's someone else, and they only put a new entry in the spreadsheet when a new mech arrives, and they won't change the order no matter what, even if you get rid of mechs.
I know. So happy about that.
All right, yeah.
Okay.
As Ian sort of mentioned at the very early beginning, there are a couple other things. The game will finally be available on Linux platforms, if I believe so. That's correct.
Yes.
And they
Yes.
include localization beta for French, German, and Russians.
That
Yep.
one is gonna be really, really big. I've had a lot of people on Twitter, on the forums, who were like, I want to play the game, but I don't speak English well enough to play a game. So this is gonna open up the game for a lot of people, including my dad. So I'm personally really happy for that
Oh,
one.
cool.
Oh, that's cool. That is cool. It's help a lot of people, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, so this is a really good patch, all in all. It's becoming accessible to a whole bunch of other foreign speakers, available to those who are still waiting on Linux, apparently. And there's a whole new career mode. The skill system is getting a nice balance patch for the most part. And we can finally move our mechs around.
Yes. Yes.
Okay,
Nice.
I'm gonna calm down now.
Yes. Okay. Me too. I'm happy. Okay, so our next topic is actually one of the things that happens all the time in Mechwarrior Online called NASCARing. And we're going to try to figure out, or just our own opinions about why people NASCAR. So I'm going to be doing something else right now, so you guys go talk there.
Well, Bida, you're usually pretty good at doing the boring stuff, so why don't you explain to us what NASCAR is?
Jeez.
The term NASCAR can mean many different things to different people. To some, it can be a tactical term, a strategy that you employ. To others, it's a term of derision. The derision term is quite simple: people just running off and trying to chase down the enemy and getting themselves killed, or running away from the assaults and leaving the assaults to die. On a tactical level, NASCAR does actually refer to an attempt to outflank the enemy and destroy them in detail, whilst you leave a rear guard to hold the enemy at bay, whilst you are having a more effective engagement somewhere else.
Which never
To
happens.
put this at more normal ease, the idea is if you leave 4 mechs at home and you have 8 charge the corner of the enemy team, it's 8 versus the corner, like 2 or 3 mechs. 8 versus 2 is an easy fight, and they'll crush them really quickly. And that's sort of the idea, is that you win a local superiority and push quickly through the enemy with the majority of your team. The 4 people who hold the rear guard are trying to buy as much time as possible. And it might be indeed a 10 versus 4, but as long as you waste the enemy's time, you can hopefully destroy the enemy with that 8 people flanking. And this tactic is very simple to execute, at least for the charging part of the team. And it's why a lot of people engage in it in Mechwarrior Online, because by charging into the enemy, you take the initiative and you're hoping to destroy them in detail. Whereas hoping you win the trade, where both teams sort of line up and trade fire and do good efficient trading, isn't it requires a lot more for your whole team to be very good at trading. Whereas NASCAR just requires you to press the W key.
See, the issue though is, tactical wise, it's effective. Don't get me wrong. Basically, you have your 4 light mechs run in, and then you have your medium mechs and your heavy mechs are run in too, and then hopefully you're gonna go get the 4 assault mechs that are left behind. The problem is though, with a tactical charge, tactics really doesn't play much into quick play. It doesn't really play much because there's no real advantage to having a rear guard. There's no real advantage to actually having a objective, basically hold this ground for against a charging horde of enemies coming towards you. There's no objective for that. What always always happens is, I had this happen several times, is I have a slower mech. And even like in a heavy mech, it's like I'm running, I'm hauling ass, and then as soon as basically 3 lights come around and start wailing me on the backside, all the rest of my team basically just keeps on going. They don't really actually hold the line. They don't do anything like that. So slower mechs will get hammered in the backside, and people get pissed off at this, especially assault pilots, because they're just left behind. Now,
I have to disagree with you, though, Bob. I don't think it's ineffective because tactics don't matter. It's ineffective because it's not properly executed.
Yeah,
and for the most part, not properly communicated.
Well, yeah,
pug
drops.
It's a big thing about player knowledge and personal execution. It's that's what I a lot of the time do when I get on the mic when I'm playing solo drops. Is I'm saying, okay, guys, those of us who are charging, let's really get into them. Those of you in the back line, try and hold your ground to last as long as possible. Just telling people that rather than them trying to catch up and getting shot in the back makes a huge difference as when people know roughly how the tactic is supposed to play out.
On a what game you playing again? Because I've never had it where anyone said that ever. Basically, it just always.
Well, you have to be the person to say it.
Well, yeah, but like normally what happens though, it's just the full assaults get like hammered, and then everyone else just runs around try to go and like keep them. And there's basically HPG, be a perfect example. We just run around the top part. Everyone just runs around the the top part and hoping they catch someone that's actually slower.
Well, it all depends. Yeah, it all depends, obviously, on the skill of the assault pilot. Sometimes I can see some assault pilots who do a really good rear guard, and I'll help them out. Other times it looks like they're useless, so I just leave them to their fate and tell them, "Good luck. Try and live as long as possible." Because for the most part, a lot of people, I think, get the attacking part. The fast-moving group of 8 to try and win a local superiority, and I usually take part in those charges myself. But if you're a good assault pilot, a big part of that getting into Mechwarrior Online is learning how to do that rear guard or trying to sell your life as dearly as possible.
Oh no, tactical wise, it's a great tactical wise to go ahead and knock out the 4 mechs and see if we can do that, and then have the 8 go kill the 4 mechs and then your rear guard. Tactics wise, it's viable, but why do we think people do it though and get salty about it? Obviously they get salty because they die because they're left behind though. But why do people do it? Like, is it just because everyone's right-handed and just go right, and they just keep on going right, or what?
No, I actually think that one's fairly easy to answer. People do it because everyone's doing it. I personally think the more important or more interesting question would be how did it come to this? Why did people start doing it?
Yeah.
Well, as I had suggested, my personal hypothesis is other strategies involve somewhat like forming a gun line, and it's your gun line versus their gun line, and you have to do refused flanks and pull back and support one another. It is a very, there's a lot of micro involved, and you really need to know what you're doing when trying to engage in trades. But to NASCAR, the attacking part, all you need to do is hold down W, and you just barrel into a small part of the enemy force. It's simple and effective, and most players can understand that and get it done. Whereas effective trading is a lot more complicated.
True.
So a more tactical approach is kind of abandoned for a more simpler approach.
Well, yeah. To add to some of that, I think the salt comes in where people think that this game is based, how good you do in this game is based on KDR. And if you're an assault that's getting left behind to die, your KDR obviously goes down, and that's why they get pissed off about it.
Well, there could be something about it. Like also, people don't like to be alone and die by themselves. That's all. That's also part of it. And like what Biter said, hitting W is a lot easier than actually forming a gun line and kind of like trading off and hiding and all that kind of stuff. Hide behind a building, shoot, hide behind a building.
It's sort of what our group does a lot of the time is we don't have a lot of people who like playing assault mechs, but we have a whole bunch who like playing mediums and lights and fast-moving, heavier mechs. And we just barrel into a portion of the enemy team and destroy them in detail. And it's a simple and effective tactic. And the more aggressive we get, usually the better wherever we are. And that's the same kind of results that puggies see as well. At least a fair proportion of them do. That if they're trying to poke and trade, that's all good and well and all, but if they just barrel into the enemy, they usually find a lot more success.
And usually, basically, when you do barrel an enemy and just charge them, about 80% of the time, you will win the game because people do not know what to do. The whole tactic what they were thinking of just falls apart instantly.
Granted, it is extremely satisfying though to just barrel in and win. I mean, that's one thing too. Is it's player satisfaction, and when it works well. Of course, if you're doing a pug match, you got to use those comms, because if you're not using comms, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
But it's also, what strategy is going to be the most quick, effective, and satisfying to play. And I think that's just one of the one things with NASCAR is kind of like how Biter said, it's easy to do, it's easy to understand, and if you have a good team that's using comms, it's going to be very satisfying in the end.
One thing I would say, to sort of exemplify this, is sort of imagine you're an HPG and you see kind of in the back there's some lerms being thrown towards your team. Now what you could do, let's say if you're in a Hellbringer, is you take a position where if ever that lerm boat exposes himself, you fire your lasers, you do him a bunch of damage and force him to duck his head down, force him to get into cover. Like, you are asserting map control, you are punishing the enemy for exposing. This is a trading kind of play style, but it's very convoluted, and also you haven't actually dealt with the lerm boat. Not necessarily. It's a waiting game. You're trying to put yourself in a position where the lerm boat can't get any work done. In contrast, though, if I've got an assassin with SRM 24, a whole bunch of SRMs on it, I could just run towards the lerm boat and smash him in the face.
Yeah.
And I get rid of the problem right there and then. That's I'm not saying the Hellbringer's playstyle is wrong. I'm just saying, it's a much more patient playstyle. It's much more complicated to hold map control to try and make sure that lerm boat doesn't get any work done. And it's hard to necessarily close out the engagement. Whereas if you just charge him, you easily close out the engagement and you have the fight on your terms. And that's just the most basic level of why a lot of players adopt NASCAR. You get closer to the enemy and you smash them in their face. They can't run away. You deal with the problem there and now. Whereas holding map control, making sure the enemy don't get work done, doing a lot of work on the enemy, takes time, and it's a lot more complicated to execute.
Yeah, and and just like we said, NASCAR, just hit the W key and just barrel right into them. So yeah, that works too. Yeah, it's just a different tactic. A lot of people don't like it, and there's a reason why. And I don't mind it. Don't get me wrong. The only thing I mind in that is when people get really salty about it. But that's just me, though.
Yeah.
So what's the best thing people can do to reduce salt about this?
I just know it's a tactic, basically, and run faster, I guess, or something.
Okay. And then to an extent of this, what can you personally do to reduce salt in your games?
My life for the Empire.
To reduce salt in games?
To reduce salt, sadly, I mean, the most general advice I could give, the best advice I could give would be a general one, which is saying, just keep a positive attitude about things. Like, I've had times where me and the group, we charge on ahead and we jump on a guy and we kill him, but the enemy have destroyed some of the slower ones in the back, and we aren't the people who are doing the charging aren't very good, sadly. But I'm still calling targets and I'm still saying, all right, let's all focus on this guy, let's all run back to help the other people. Even though we mostly have lost the match by that point, and somebody even in the chat said, oh, give up, we've lost, and they said, well, let's just try and let's try and win the fight as best we can. And that is what we did. We managed to pull out, instead of a 2-12, we pulled out an 8-12. And yes, we still lost, but it was fun to still coordinate and pull, try and pull back the situation as best we could. Whereas just saying, oh, well, the NASCAR didn't work, so NASCAR sucks, is just, propagates the salt.
The one major thing that would actually kill a team is one person on comms saying you all suck, or typing in chat we all suck or something like that, and that does more damage to your team than anything else.
It does bring the morale down, but actually, I think for the past things from what we've talked about for the past 2 minutes here is actually happened to me last night. I was on Mining Collective, and of course we all began to NASCAR. I was in a I think it was like a 60-ton going about 80 kph. I was in the champion, so I'm going at a decent speed. Well, halfway through the match, you had the guy who was like, "Oh, we're gonna lose. Like, why are we doing this?" It's because it's just naturally it's what happens.
Yeah.
But we actually wound up winning the game from kind of being destroyed in the back end. Is that I tried to like take comms. I was like, "Okay, guys, reverse the NASCAR, reverse the post-it note," as a sense,
Yeah.
and take the middle, and we actually came out on top. Now, is it the best way to win it? No, I mean, but I think we're in this circle talk of like, how do we stop it? I sadly I don't think I have an answer of how we can stop a NASCAR.
Well, the whole thing is, based as far as salt wise, to and just like what Biter says, be positive. Even though you lost the game, hey, good game. It was well played. You guys played well. You had some tactic wise, like whatever you guys did. That's cool. And then also, take calm. Say, hey, this target, knock him out. This target, knock him out. You're gonna lose, but the whole thing is, though, remember, it's just a game. It's a cool game with cool people that you play with, and so don't take it the personal personal view, like this is the end of the world, I'm not going to get my Heisman Trophy, type thing. It's not going to be like that. It's just a game you play to have fun. And if and the best way that like I know for myself is have a positive attitude. Sometimes I get pissed off. Don't get me wrong. Once I get pissed off, I jump and I do something else because I don't want to be that person that could jump some comms saying you guys all suck. So I try to be as positive as I can in the game, call targets, say, hey, good game, you did a pretty good kill on me, or just whatever. And that actually does more for the game itself than a person that takes it down with a massive range of salt.
But also on top of that, I think one of the things I do want to point out is that a lot of the maps we do have, they can be a large to like a medium-sized map, but a lot of them do have one central point in the middle of the map that kind of makes you want to rotate around it.
Yeah.
A few of my more favorite maps are the ones that don't have a central point in the middle. Like, for example, the best one I can think of right now would be Tourmaline. That map is very varied. There's some things in the middle, but there's not like one central point. Now, granted, we always tend to battle like, right kind of in the middle-ish area, but sometimes I've seen the map go other directions. But I mean,
I would say in my mind, like one of the best maps for a lack of that sort of central thing would be Rubelite Oasis. The very center is an open
really
field.
You
don't want to stand there because everyone can shoot up at the center. The funny thing is, at least, is players get very confused playing on that map. Like
but I
people
love
don't
it.
know how
It's
to.
so varied.
Oh yeah, that's why people love voting.
Is he high or low?
It's well, there is high and low. There's the two different sides, and there's a question of when or whether to push or how to form firing lines. It's a very weird and interesting map, and it's a change from all the others.
True.
To get back for just a minute on the how to reduce salt, I think there's one thing that Biter said that for once was actually really smart. Biter, you said something about going on comms at the start of the game and telling people to either commit to the push or hold the line. I think that one might be really good advice for people who find that salt is a big issue. If you notice that people are falling back, go on comms and just tell them, like, guys, you're not going to catch up. Hold your ground, buy us time, we're going to win you the game.
Yeah,
And
true.
Be positive and make sure those people support each other. If you notice there's a direwolf all the way in the back, and then there might be a timberwolf who spawned late and is slowly getting away from the direwolf, go ahead and bug the timber a bit to stay with direwolf, support him. That way, these two people are going to be able to buy a lot more time than.
And very good point. And is that if you are like let's say you're the player who's not getting salty, but you're the one who's noticing that these games are getting to a way you might want to change. There is the calm button. Use your voice. Speak up. But also kind of like what Ian, what you said is be supportive. Don't just say go back to this point and just yell it and just kind of be a jerk because people won't really react well to that. Try to be like, hey guys, we're gonna go here because we gotta go support our team back here. Just don't bark out commands and think you're gonna get people on your side. Try to be supportive. Try to encourage them a little bit. Because I don't know every player in the game, and that person who's playing with me or who's in the pug, they might be tier 1 or 2, but you don't know what their experience level is, or maybe they took a long break for a few months and they're getting their groove back.
Yeah, so basically you can reduce it down to 3 steps. First, be positive. Second, use comms. Third, be supportive.
And be a leader.
And if you manage to get all of those 3 points, positive, supportive, and actually raise your voice in a positive and supportive fashion, I bet you're going to notice your games are going to get a lot better.
For win or lose, actually.
Yeah, as a classic example I was thinking of is one time on River City. I had this during the loot bag event. I saw, we were on the side with the Citadel, and I saw that 2 of our lights went charging headlong towards the enemy. They went up a city, like they went across that bridge by the airport and, straight towards the enemy. And they said, it looks like our lights are going in really deep. Do you guys want to support them with an F6 push, which is, pushing straight into the center? And people went along with it. And there was one other guy in the chat there who's just like, oh no, we got the Citadel, we got to hire, we got to stay on there. Why are we giving up the Citadel? It's like, we always play Citadel, I say in chat. Let's do something different. F6 push can actually be quite effective. And he's like, oh no, it always sucks. Well, aren't you a barrel of laughs? Aren't you fun? And we push into F6. We actually catch the enemy off guard and take out a lance or so, and our lights, despite getting killed fairly quickly, accost themselves fairly well. A lot better than they would have done if they just charged in alone. In the end, it kind of petered out. We had a lot of mediums pushing into the city, whilst all the assaults hid in the back, firing lerms into the buildings. Oh, pokes. And, in the end, I'm still calling out and people say, like, people in the chat actually started speaking up and saying, assaults, help your team, share your armor. And I'm saying, yes, come on, assaults, push in with us, share your armor. We're all fighting tooth and nail. It's a really close fight. And they still didn't push up, but you can try. And in the end, I say, okay, everyone fall back to the assaults, use them as cover. And we have a final last stand hiding behind the assaults, and I had a lot of fun in the game. But the guy at the end is like, "Oh, you see, this is why an F6 push is terrible. Oh, you shouldn't do that." And I said, "Come on, dude. It was a change of pace, and everyone went along. And I actually thought that was a fun push."
Some of the best games I played were just mostly doing different tactics, like let's hold the island, or let's do this, or let's let's hold the island like Crimson Strait. Let's go over here and just hold this spot. Those are the best games. There's something different, and sometimes you're gonna have to lose. That's what happens, man. It's a game. You're gonna lose this kind of stuff. But I think Ian wanted to go ahead and do a history of NASCAR, Ian.
Well, yeah, because I was wondering, when did we actually get to the point where NASCAR became this prominent? And I started thinking, and the first time I really noted NASCAR being a thing was on, what's its name? Caustic Valley, when people no longer fought in the cauldron because it was too hot and started going around instead. And then slowly but steadily, like in my memory, we've got stuff like Domination, where there's an objective in the center you can rotate around. We've got maps like HPG, where you have an actual center you can rotate around. And I think that's, in my mind, kind of how NASCAR came to be, and how NASCAR came to be this prominent in the game. And I just kind of wanted to hear what you guys think about this.
I mean,
in some ways, all you need is a prominent hill or a prominent block, a bit like in Mining Collective. It's not necessarily a hill in the center, but it's a big block, a big lump in the center that just anything like that, you could start running around in circles.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense. Basically, also too, it's like most of us are right-handed, so we almost automatically go right. Unlike a lot of times in games, and they almost never go left because it's just not naturally like in our brain to go do that. But yeah, like you do make a good theory though that everything is has a little center and you run around that place and then instead of going on top like in Caustic Valley, it's hell hot up there, man. It's like the dry heat, man. It's crazy.
Or another story would be Forest Colony. The old map, you always had basically 2 lanes to fight in. Either in the cave or out in the open, which no one did, or the center way. And with the new Forest Colony, I personally have noticed a lot of people are fighting around that
big
prominent rock that Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Rock right in the middle.
Well, like Polar Highlands. Sorry, go ahead.
So to an extent, I honestly think that the map and game mode design of Mechwarrior Online were a major part of how NASCAR came to be.
It tends to encourage it seems.
It seems, at least for me, when I've played, it's always been a part of the game. Yeah. Like, even when there's, like, jump sniping PPC Golf's Night Years, just pushing out and going your own way forwards and to the right means you come up at a new angle that the enemy aren't expecting. Whereas if all you do is form a blob and jump snipe from there, the enemy know where you are. Whereas if you rotate, and everyone likes rotating right, you're always coming up from new angles, and you can get a few trades in without the enemy being able to trade back.
Yeah.
Sure, but I would definitely make the point that the prominence of NASCAR has greatly increased in the past, let's say 2 or 3 years, maybe. And before that, it was always a tactic, and now it's kind of the go-to thing.
No, hit
I
W.
think over time, people became less like potatoes and learned, oh, well, they just push forward this way. People learned the maps. They learned, oh, well, usually people push through this way. So why don't I just get it over with and start pushing through there as quickly as possible to give myself, an early advantage? And, people just keep playing the game faster and faster and faster because they get used to the game, the maps, and they know how it plays out.
We should try to get a group one day of people who are good at playing the game, try to get a 12-man and just take it.
I don't think you're talking about us then.
I know. I apologize. But just try to get a 12-man of semi-confident people who work well together and just do random other pushes that aren't NASCAR for like a day. And just see how it goes,
Or just hold the island.
We've done that to an extent.
Oh, we have. It's
success.
Fun. Yeah.
Well, I've seen like those teams that are actually quite good. They do sometimes do funny gimmicks and stuff like that. Like I forget, it was a one faction warfare event. We came across a team. They were a coordinated group, and they were using Mass UAC2 Dragon, and they were pushing in quite aggressively. There's times when they would do Mass Arctic Wolf and just push in aggressively. And since they know what they're doing, they can actually pull off NASCAR with a great amount of skill.
Or just hang out in the base, basically when you're using the big base that you go and start off at, and just hang out there, just fight from that position, because it'll be a lot harder for people to go in there because they don't normally actually know what's going on or how to adjust their tactics, and so you have them come in and one at a time. And this happened a while ago. I think we did it. I'm not sure if we did it or someone else. They came in piecemeal. They came in piecemeal. So it's okay, well, cool. We won, kicking. Because they don't know those types of tactics, or just can think, without hitting the W key.
Yeah, probably my favorite games are the ones where mainly you get a group with maybe some pugs, but mainly before we drop, we say, okay, everyone, we're going to go to this spot of the map that no one goes to, and just hang there.
Well,
then the whole... Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say Tourmaline would be a perfect example of that big gigantic pit that was in the first map, and now it's on the top right or something, or the top left or something like that. You go in that pit.
Oh. Yeah, or the pit really isn't a good strategic area, but just
it's fun.
But it is fun. But I would say, but my more favorite games are okay, we're gonna go to this one spot of the map. A good point. Going to Terra Firma to the old Caldera.
Terra Firma, I'm sorry, that's what I was talking about. Sorry about that.
Yeah, that area where it's up above, you hang up there, and the whole enemy team is NASCAR, and they're where the hell are they? And then you have one or two lights who are scouting, and they're we found the enemy team, and then you just play King of the Hill.
Yeah.
The whole entire time.
Yeah, that's a great change of pace to the NASCAR.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, the thing is, as I said, that over time people learn. Oh, normally people congregate around this area, and then when you're in this area, you usually do this, that, and the other. You push this particular corner, and just fighting somebody somewhere else. Sometimes, as I said, on River City, calling an F6 push, varies things up, and that's always fun.
Yeah, I like those.
All right, I think we've covered NASCAR fairly in detail. Is there any question then?
Yeah.
So
because both of these topics were submitted by last year's viewers during his stream last Friday.
Yeah, since we were a little light on topic. So last night, thank you to the viewers for asking for content.
Yeah, definitely. Good times.
All right, but the other topic they brought up was play styles. Why we adopted our own play styles, what we think our own play styles are, and etc. I think that was roughly the topic, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think we're going to go leave that for next week, though, because of time-wise. All right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, that can be a
Okay.
continuation for next week. Since I'm sure, since I know we're gonna do it this week, but yeah, Bob, I think you're right. Because we talked a lot of BattleTech actually.
Yeah, we
Didn't
did.
think we were gonna talk that much BattleTech.
BattleTech.
Which is always a good time. So yeah, so
Well,
I think
big patch for Battletech coming up, and a big patch for Mechwarrior Online coming up next week as well.
Yeah, so we're gonna have a lot of topics. So maybe for future podcasts, if you want to like have our one or two main topics, and then you, the audience, maybe if you want to just do one audience item to end the podcast with, I think that'd be good for future entries.
Yeah, that'd be awesome, man. On the First Circle podcast for the Twitter, I always ask, hey man, guys, if you guys have ideas or anything else, let us know. We'll talk about them. Different events going on or the whatever.
Yeah, so I think for next week, we're going to go into the topic of personal playstyles. Are you a more aggressive or passive player, and why? Will be next week.
I'm a potato.
I am
a potato.
I'm an aggressive potato.
There you go. Okay, I think, and we'll leave this to Ian then.
Well, to quickly recap, this week was fairly light on news with Mechwarrior Online, but there's a lot of stuff coming up for Battletech. And to summarize our main topic for tonight, be positive, be supportive, and use the voice over IP button. And with that, bad luck, go and send us home.
All right, so this was the First Circuit podcast, number 61, with Bite
Clark.
and Ian.
Bye-bye.
And Lars.
Burr.
And Oldbob 10025. And
hello.
And I am Batduck TW. Thank you for listening
and remember, everyone, no Fab November is a stupid idea.
No what? No Fab November? Like, what's that mean?
It's something the young people came up with, where they have a challenge to not fab for a whole month, which obviously is bad because it increases the chance of prostate cancer.
What's FAP?
Never mind. We're going to skip ahead. Have a good night, guys.
See you later.
Bye, people. Bye-bye.
Tune in next week for our discussion on fapping.